Hi, this is Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy. Hey guys, listen, we're going to talk about my favorite subject today, which is sales. All right, we got a really cool subject, so let's go ahead and dive in on it. And it's kind of an interesting tidbit, so let's look at it. Amazing how, and this is selling, how to motivate others to buy life insurance from you. What'd he say? He says, amazing selling. How do you motivate others to buy life insurance from you? Well, isn't that a really good question? I think if we all had the perfect answer, we'd all be billionaires. Okay, and here's the reality. Selling insurance, you're dealing with what they call a lot of different type personalities. You're dealing with a lot of really nice people, and a lot of them don't want to talk about death. They don't want to talk about dying. But a lot of times, the closer we get to it, the more we need to have this conversation. Even young people need to go ahead and prepay. Get insurance way in advance. It's a lot cheaper. Oh my gosh. And the benefits, they outweigh the negatives. Now you can buy whole life policies, which guarantees you got that amount of money is going to be there for your whole life. Then you got term insurance when you know it's going to be there for a term. And then when the term's up, you're going to be a little bit older, maybe a little bit sicker or whatever. And it's going to cost you a lot more. People who like whole life policies, people who buy insurance, they know that the reason why they're buying it is to secure a place in their family. And to make sure that, hey, whatever comes up the pike, because believe it or not, believe it, insurance on any kind of product. If you sell furniture, it breaks. Old people, we die. Young people die. We live in a real world. We live in a society today that stuff happens. And I don't want to say the S word, but stuff happens. So what is the question? You know, my name is Gary Lee Stanley. How do you motivate others to buy life insurance from you? First of all, you got to figure out what format you want to sell at. Do you want to be a door-to-door salesperson? Do you want to talk to people over the phone? Do you like to be able to do it in front, like we're talking, communicating this way? Do you like having conversations with groups and selling insurance that way? There's a lot of different styles and ways to sell insurance, especially life insurance. And this is a funny thing, but not really. People are dying to see you. It ain't that funny, but really, life insurance and insurance in general can be sold a couple of different ways. There's a bunch of different ways now. It used to be one way. Now, here's the thing. To motivate others, you got to have you some good leads. And I'm talking about people that have been talked to for just a minute. They kind of scratched at it. Or maybe they called and saw something online, or they saw something on TV or whatever. People are curious. And salespeople, we want to make sure that we help people get what we're trying to sell. And if you're trying to sell insurance, you got to be motivated yourself. Do you own a policy on yourself? The reason why I ask that is if it's kind of hard to sell insurance or tell people to buy insurance if you ain't got no insurance. Okay, it's a real simple thing. You can get a very small policy on you. The more you get, though, you know, the more benefits for the future. But look, the younger you are, the cheaper it is. So don't, you know, if it looks like it's too expensive, fit it in your little old budget. This is the same thing you're going to convey to your customers. We can fit it in your little old budget. And that's what's important. We've got apps now that you can use on your phone that you can talk to customers and show them different amounts on how to be able to cover themselves. A lot of people are buying for your business. A lot of these insurance companies want your business. And a lot of times, just make sure when you get insurance, don't get the cheapest. Because when you get what you get what you pay for. You know, so get the best insurance that's affordable for you. How do you motivate others to buy life insurance from you? You got to have a conversation. You really do. Look, people don't like to talk about dying. They don't like to talk about things that are just makes them feel uncomfortable. But see, you got to introduce yourself. My name is Gary Lee Stanley. We're going to have a simple conversation today about life insurance. We're going to have a simple conversation about, you know, what you expect from us and what you want to get. And if we can fit it in your budget, we're going to ask you today to go ahead and make this decision. Because a lot of times people want to make decisions and they want to wait. Well, a lot of times we wait and we never do it because we have good intentions. So my simple job today is to make sure if we can make it fit for you, we're going to go ahead and get it enforced today. Does that make sense? And don't say a word. Let them go, And then you got to say, well, let me show you some benefits. Let me come on in if you're talking to them in their home. If you're over the phone, let me tell you some benefits. Let me tell you what we can do for you. And I know the reason why you want to buy it. You want to leave a legacy. Most people who buy insurance, they don't want to leave a burden on their family. And you don't want to do that either, do you? You just ask questions. Or are you going to plan on being buried? Or are you going to be cremated? Did you already prepay for your everything? Well, in the insurance, let me show you a way we can help you to be able to make that transition easier for you and your family. Now, do you have somebody that's going to be your beneficiary, the advocate? What's the person that's going to step up when you pass away? You're going to ask these questions. These are just different techniques and ideas, hey guys. You know, my name is Gary Lee Stanley. The question was, selling. How do you motivate others to buy life insurance from you? First of all, you hopefully got some really good leads, which is a market. A lot of times people buy leads, but they don't actually call them but once. Are you kidding me? You know how expensive leads are for insurance? It ain't cheap. You know, it can be a little cheaper in many different directions, but you got to try whatever. If you got leads, you're going to call these leads. Sometimes, if they're local, you can go out and see them, because sometimes people don't want to talk to you over the phone because they get all these robocalls all the time, and it pisses people off. Makes me mad too. You know, I want to hear from a salesperson, but see, lately when you get these robocalls, people get frustrated and they don't even want to talk to you, even if you're a legit person that can help them. So do yourself a favor. Figure out what niche is best for you and how you can sell your life insurance. For me, I like doing it over the phone. I like doing it in person. Because see, you can record their voices, and that's a way now that you can go ahead and sign. You can sign with your iPad right there if you're in person or over the phone. You can do it in many different ways. You know, our goal is, how do you motivate people to buy life insurance? You kind of ask them, hey, do you know anybody recently who's passed away? And they'll probably say no or yes. And if they say yes, well, did it cost a lot of money? How much did y'all pay for that? And you want to make sure, even if they didn't pay for it, how much did your family have to pay for that? And they're going to look at you, or they're going to talk to you on the phone and go, well, it was about $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000, $12,000. Well, you know, I'm real glad that we're having this conversation today, because did your family, did your significant, did they have insurance to cover them? And you'll ask the customer this, and they'll say either yes or no. And if they say no, well, how did y'all pay for that? See, you want them to revisit that pain, that situation that somebody's going to have to deal with when they're getting old and they're dying or whatever. People they don't want to pay for insurance because it sucks. But see, insurance pays off eventually, especially if it's a whole life policy. If you got insurance, your family is going to have a different transition than one who doesn't. I've seen people who had to pay the whole bill for both of their parents, and nobody helped them. And it was so expensive, they came so close to losing everything because they weren't expecting that burden. And see, there's a lot of people out there that'll help you, get you the money, especially at these nice places where they lay people to rest. They'll get you real good. So make sure that you have somebody you can trust. Because if you've got insurance, you can go ahead and say, listen, son, daughter, significant other, husband, wife, whatever. Look, this will take care of me in a time of need. Make sure you put these documents and tell your customers to put them in a real good place. Tell them and ask them, listen, does your family know where all your important paperwork are if something were to happen to you, get in a car accident or you die? And they'll go, yeah. And most of the time, they really don't. But I always give them this point. I always say, listen, I'm not only here to help you get insurance today, but I'm your insurance